Here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain, and today I'm so happy to be joined by Wisely, who is now a second-time guest, joining me under some not-so-fun circumstances, but nonetheless, I'm very happy to have you on once again. Wisely, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Last time we talked about like me as a person getting into Smash, and this time we're mad at Nintendo. So that's what's up, I guess.
We're mad at Nintendo, but also we didn't get to talk about your love of Project Plus really all that much last time. We talked about how you are steeped in all things platform fighters, Rivals of Ether, and a little bit of the Project Plus stuff, but
Mhm.
not even just Smash Melee. You know, it's all the games, even a teeny bit of Ultimate, just a teeny bit. You've
Yep.
dabbled. So I'm really excited to talk specifically about Project Plus, but let it not be forgotten that you, Wisely, can just about fit in anywhere within a platform fighting genre, even Brawlhalla. I love the video that you made on that, by the way. For those of you
Thank you.
who need to know, you can go to Wisely on YouTube and watch all kinds of fun stuff before you went on your big break. And that can actually be the first thing we talk about. Your return from the big
Sure.
break, something that everybody's very excited about, including myself. When will you be coming back in terms of a rough timeline? No, I don't need dates, just like what you're planning as of
Yeah.
now.
So I took a large break from content creation because I started a new job. And was like it was just a bunch of things back to back. I moved within like a month of moving. I ended up getting and starting a new job. I've been doing that job for about 2 months now. And I've had a puppy for about 2 months now. I guess like a month and a
Congratulations.
half now. Yeah, he is totally asleep in the corner right now, which is great. I'm hoping he stays that way while we record this. Um, but it was just way too busy, so I haven't done any actual streaming or content creations for about 4 months now. Um, Actually, I did a stream back yesterday. It was my first thing coming back, and that was because Rivals now has rollback netcode, and it feels great. It's very buggy still, but when it hits hard. It feels really good. I'm really excited about that. Um, but I'm trying to come out swinging. I guess I'll do the plugs at the beginning this time. I'm in the middle of coordinating with Heart Swap TV, which is run by Melee Sad Posts. And we are doing the Melee and P plus versions of the Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People tournament that happened for Ultimate. And so ours is the end of Melee Galleon. And it's very funny to me because everyone's like, "Oh, this theme's great. It fits the idea so well." And I've never seen it. I haven't seen the show. She just wrote it, came up with a post. I'm like, it looks good. All right, cool. But that'll be streamed on Heart Swap. I'm the one getting like a lot of the commentary and the organizers behind it though. And then I will be editing both the PM, or I'll be working with an editor to get both the PM and the Rivals versions it turned into YouTube videos. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff like that. I'm probably not going to be streaming as much as I used to, but I will be streaming a bit, and I will for sure be when I do stream. It's usually going to be because I specifically want to turn it into YouTube video later.
Yeah, so you have
Mhm.
the multifaceted content creation ideas behind not necessarily doing one thing, one specific thing. For me, I can really only concentrate on doing podcasting. So
Yeah.
I've been having a hard time balancing that kind of thing. What you're doing is
Mhm.
really cool, though, because you're able to find people who can help you, like an editor, that sort of thing. Shout outs to G Subs, who is no longer editing with you, but
No, G Dubs is doing Panda, and then
G Dubs,
Panda's
excuse
the
me.
big one. Nope, no worries. Panda's the big one. But he also does stuff for Purple Cliff, who is a Pokemon YouTuber. That's like I know when he started with G Dubs, he had like over it was like 500,000 followers on TikTok and was like blowing up on YouTube. And so I'm sure that's just huge now.
Going
Yeah,
strong.
I am going to be working with Motobug, who has done a lot of stuff for the P Plus community. Motobug's super dope. Sonic and Knuckles main from New England. Um, ooh, I hope I'm right when I said New England. I know for sure East Coast. That area though. Super dope though. He actually did like the trailer for Riptide and stuff like that. So
Oh,
he's really
okay.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Um,
That's awesome.
but he wants to get some more experience of just like general content creation for streamers and stuff. So we're doing that. I'm going to be doing showcases of like special game modes and like Project M mods and a lot of different stuff. My goal is to capture the casual and competitive communities with the same kind of thing. So hopefully people who that don't know Smash also like what I'm putting out is the goal.
I love that because yes, there are other gaming communities other than just Smash. I'm just too deep. I'm just too deep into the Smash world, the Melee world specifically. So I love when people like you, Wisely, like you have that background in Melee and in Smash, but you also want to see what kind of reach there and what kind of commonality you can find from other communities who go, oh, that's cool. I like what you're doing, and then there's a bit of a crossover there. Really cool. I wanted to ask you about the perspective of that tournament that you and Melee Sad Posts are putting together about why do bad things happen to good people. For those who don't know, the ultimate version of that, this happened a little while ago, and Spinda, shout outs to Spinda, made a great video recapping it. Basically, what had happened was it's everything is on the table and off the table simultaneously. Like you can
I thought
do
Coney made
you can have like moderators decide what your match is going to be. Oh, you lost. Or you can try to trade Pokemon cards with the person you're up against and bracket, and you could just do everything. So what happened with that was Hungrybox won. So are you afraid of big sharks, big whales like Hungrybox coming in and just like dropping a bunch of like whatever incentives? Like, I'll follow you on Twitter, like that kind of stuff?
absolutely not. In fact, we are currently talking to some top players to get them on board. Because the way we're viewing that is that if someone, obviously the Melee one's going to be bigger because it's a bigger community, but for PM specifically, if we get like IBDW or HBox or something like that to do the PM version, we're just viewing that as eyes on the PM scene. Like if someone's going to drop money and it's going to be a big thing about like HBox won a PM tournament without playing a game. Cool. People are talking about PM now. Like that's fine. Because the technical rules are we have like the rule set all put out, and we changed it a little bit from the alt version because the alt one was straight up like here's the normal rule set except for best of one single elim, and so we did that. Except Melee has some more rules that are like there's rules in Melee that are designed to prevent degenerate play, like no like pound stalling or sing stalling or like I mean, wobbling was banned like 2 years ago and things like that. And we're saying, nope, that's all back on the table again. Like, you can do all of that, but you have to still play Melee or still play PM unless you get the other person to agree to something else. And then in that case, yeah, go trade Pokemon cards or Twitter follows or whatever. So, as long as the other person agrees to it, you can do whatever you want. As long as the other person agrees to it, and it's over in 10 minutes because there is a 10-minute round timer.
That's kind
which
of
is
important.
why and we talked to the alt people and they were like, yeah, we had to put in a timer per round because we had people that were like, well, I'm going to gentleman's to Monopoly and it's going to take 5 hours to do my game. And they're like, no, you just can't do that. That's again, two rules. There's now a second rule.
Somebody will be degenerate enough to run the tournament. Why do bad things happen to bad people? And then everything is on the table. Somebody will say, let's do a season of D&D, and there'll be one tournament running for 5 months.
It's just the why do you tournament, except for actually no rules.
But there does have to be a little bit of rules to have an event happen in one day or whatever the schedule is. So Heart Swap TV on Twitch, that's where people can find that, right?
Yeah. Heart Swap TV on Twitch. They'll also be putting up the tourney VODs, which is a weird thing to say about like you're gonna see the VOD that is like this person versus this person, and there might not be any Smash Bros inside the VOD. But that's fine.
Replay the Smash GG chat, basically.
Yeah, the Smash GG chat, the bantering, the commentators analyzing why this Twitter follow is definitely worth it or not. Yeah. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. So that'll be October 9th and October 16th. for the two
Awesome.
different ones.
Awesome. So this will actually follow up the secret, not so secret Shipwrecked event that's
Yep.
happening in the first weekend of October, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah, we specifically were like, oh, we should wait till afterwards. And October's fairly barren because after LTC and Shipwrecked is main stage, but that's all the way in November. So
Yes, there's normally a big tournament that happens around October, but it's not happening this year. Hopefully
no big
next
house
year.
this year.
Right. Exactly. And that's sort of like, historically speaking, just to get someone up to speed who might be just a little bit newer to everything. Back in last year, in about around October, well, no, it was late November, excuse me. The Big House 10 online, this was supposed to be a big Melee tournament using rollback netcode, got shut down by Nintendo and everybody got upset. And what ended up happening was 5 days of Melee, where Project Plus and PM was showcased to everybody again. And there was all kinds of discourse and anonymous Smasher posts saying, yeah, PM got shafted harder than any other like small part of the
100%.
Smash scene by far. Exactly, by far. And so everybody said, well, I mean, P plus is pretty cool, right? And we said yes. And then
Yes,
what
it
happened?
is pretty cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then what happened was the Knuckles drop or something big, some big new patch for P
It
plus.
was just like the next patch. Knuckles was in it already, but it was the new patch. People were just getting excited.
And big players were playing it on stream, and now all these events get announced over the summer of, hey, in-person events. They're running P plus brackets. This is cool. But then as Riptide comes up 2 weeks before the event happens, 2 weeks, then that's when Nintendo goes after Riptide and says you can't run P plus, you can't run it at all. And then the same thing is now happening to Low Tide City, where again, about 2 weeks away, you notice that they didn't cancel them both at once, right? They went after Riptide and then they went after Low Tide City separately, where they said you can't run P plus. And so everybody says, what do we do? Well, thanks to people like Melee Sad Posts, Studebaker, there are shadow events being run. For Riptide, it was Undertow, and now for Low Tide City, it's going to be Shipwrecked.
Shipwrecked. Well, and one was announced formally about like 2 hours ago.
Whoa! Wait, what? Tell me.
Yep.
You take it. Take it away.
We now have the main stage tournament.
What's that?
which is
wait. Can I guess?
you're not gonna guess.
It's not
You're not gonna
backstage?
hit it for this one.
Okay.
It was going to be backstage, but this is probably the most official shadow tournament we've had so far. For context, the people have seen as a huge history of running what I guess we started calling shadow tournaments, which are like 5 blocks away from Genesis or in the same city. You can play at Neon Genesis, which wasn't a major, but it was like, 40 PM players, but all of them were from across the nation because we all wanted to play. Big House always has Evicted, which is actually a pretty big one. They'll get up to like 100 people. And you'll get people like, Rishi or Lod or Forrest all playing. But this one is going to be called Jailbreak. It is probably the most punk rock thing I've seen in like years, because they are hosting an entirely unrelated Smash tournament. So it is not affiliated with Beyond the Summit. It is not affiliated with Main Stage in any way. But they're bringing the balcony back, which is a very long running, or was a very long running PM thing, which was they were the people who ran the big balc, even bigger balc, and they were going to run biggest balc, but that one they decided not to. That was a couple years ago, but they're going to be the people streaming it. We're bringing out a lot of the big guns for this, and it is a totally unaffiliated Smash tournament in the same convention center on the same weekend.
How did this happen? Shout outs to people like Saber and other people in Project
I am not
Plus.
in the back.
Come on.
Yeah. I know Saber's been super involved. A lot of people have. I am not in the back scene of this one, but when I've been sitting in this for about a week, I knew that this was going to be happening, and they only told me because they knew that I was going to main stage already, and they're like, "Hey, if this helps you with your like flights and planning, like let us know." But I wasn't allowed to say anything, and I was like, sitting on the news that, hey, there's going to be a P plus major in the same convention center across the hall on Saturday, and they're working like it's really funny the way it's worded because they're saying like we are not affiliated and it's in Ontario, California. And so it has on there uh like if you have anything else going on in Ontario, California for any reasons, please let the TOs know and we'll work hard to rearrange according to your schedule. So like they're working with commentators and players to like make sure they can do both tournaments, which is really, really dope. It's just very funny the way everything's worded to make sure like this is the money is connected differently. Like none of this is through Beyond the Summit anymore. It's just the PM scene rose up and was like, yeah, okay, we'll do this.
That's really, really cool. And it's a difference between most of the shadow events that are run for P plus, where my understanding is even if it's a couple of blocks away, even if it's that close and happening on the same weekend, the same day, the schedules don't match, and of course you have to walk
It's
or
hard.
whatever
Yeah.
to make it
It's
work
really
if you
hard.
want to play and or watch P plus, but you're there for Melee or you're there for Ultimate or Rivals of Ether in the case of Riptide. So what are you
Yeah.
going
I
to
mean,
do?
I did Rivals and Melee at Riptide and I was going to do P plus, but P plus was a 5 minute drive down the road, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you flew there and you have to find people that have cars or you have to Uber or whatever, it's a commitment to just drive the 5 minutes down the road to get to the P plus tournament. And so a lot of people the day that P plus ran were only in that one venue. And I was like, I went there. I came back though, because I was like, I have duties. Like I did rivals commentary. I had to be back. And so I just didn't get to see all my P plus friends that much.
So this is
Um,
the difference for Jailbreak, where
is that it's literally like you don't have an excuse. Um, it's in the same convention center. I believe spectators are free. So like if you're there for a main stage for Melee or ult, you don't have a reason to at least not watch like grand finals or something.
did you go out
Unless you're
too?
actually
Don't worry
playing in
about
your
it.
match. Yeah.
Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. You can go watch P plus now.
hmm
Oh, that's so cool. Well, it's not breaking
I'm
news
so excited.
because it's already been broke, but yeah, I would have never guessed Jailbreak. I would have just kept coming back to the stage thing.
No, well, and I think they had to choose a different name to really be clear, like this is unaffiliated. Because if you have main stage and backstage in the same convention center, the convention center also is probably going to be like, wait, what's going on? Are these related?
Wow, what a quakey dink.
Yep.
Okay, so that's really, really cool. To sort of summarize, we've talked a little bit about Riptide, and now we're looking forward to Low Tide City and Shipwrecked. You're not going to be going down yourself. So, from your own perspective, what are you looking forward to about trying to follow along with that event? Because that's the other
Yeah.
challenge in all of this. There's not a lot of streams happening for shadow events now. It's really cool that Jailbreak is going to, as I understand,
Its
be an
own thing,
exception to
yeah.
the rule, but that Undertow was not broadcasted at all until after the fact. It wasn't streamed live.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just first of all, it really, really hurts that LTC got hit because they have run. This was going to be LTC 7 happened before quarantine. That was low tier city where this is low tide city, their special water park version. Um, but effectively, this was going to be the eighth event in the LTC brand, and every single one has run PM before this. Every single after LTC 3, they were all PM nationals, and so like this was one of the ones that we just kind of thought was safe. Same with SNS and then Riptide. And that's why these two events getting hit hard was one of those like, oh shoot. Like when our goal after 5 days of Melee and the community support, a lot of people were like, well, let's try to get into Big House and into Genesis and all these large events. And I was like, I don't think that's possible. Those events have partnered with Nintendo in the past. But let's super support the people that can still run our stuff. And now those people can't either. And so it's like, oh, if you want to run a P plus tournament that's larger than a regional, you kind of have to have it be its totally separate event. And that hurts. That hurts a lot. Um, As far as watching LTC, I haven't been following like which matches I'm excited for because I'm not going this year. Um, I was actually asked if I wanted to be or if I could help out with some of like their volunteer coordination stuff, and I had to turn it down. Just starting a new job was very busy, but um, yeah, it always has a really cool vibe. I'm really excited to watch LTC proper for Melee as well. I think that'll be really dope. If it's even a fraction of the production quality they had at the last one, it'll be incredible. I know there's a ton of good players, and really, I'm excited to see what Stude can pull together because it seems like he's the one really coordinating their P plus Shipwrecked. I don't want to call it a side event, shadow event. Side event is still by the same people. Shadow event, which was not a term we had until like a month ago. But everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what we can call them. I'm really excited what Stu can put together. He and I have worked together on a lot of tournaments, mainly in commentary, but um, I 100% put my trust behind whatever he runs. That one, I also, one of the things about Riptide and then Undertow was that there were a lot of DQs from people that signed up and were just like, I don't want to leave the main venue, which makes sense. And so apparently, or Shipwrecked is apparently like less than a block away, which should help cut that down. I think that's going to be the big thing for anybody trying to run a shadow event is the closer you can get to the main venue, the less you're going to have of that. To the extreme of Jailbreak being in the same convention center, but so I'm really excited because that was the thing about Undertow is that it was all the P plus people, which was really dope. But P plus always brings out like, you've got Lod and HBox and Forrest and other people who have been top 50 in PM, even though they play Melee or we've had people that play other games that have been top 50. And so I really want to see that crew. I would love to see, your Luckies and your IBDWs compete in that kind of thing as well.
It was really cool. There was one random night. It was I think it might have even been a Wombat Wednesday, but I was watching an event and there's Lucky who
He just does.
Yeah, just
every once in a while.
Yeah, hops in. Yeah, exactly. And
he's a huge homie. He will like when he sees me at venues. So there was a point where I don't think he realized I also played Melee, and now he's like, yeah, whatever. It's wisely. But he would see me at a venue and be like, "Oh, wait, is there a PM event here?" He would get really excited and be like, "We got to play friendlies later." And it's like, yes, there is, but like, I'm here for Melee too, dude. you know I play both games.
Did you see me commentating your match earlier? Okay, never mind.
Ooh, I don't know if I've commentated a Lucky set.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe I'm sure I have. I feel like I've had to. Anyways.
Yeah. And you've been doing a lot more of that recently. So you have a lot of experience in terms of running tournaments like we talked about last time. But I don't know how much we talked about commentary. And I know that's a big part of what you're doing now. And
especially now. Yeah.
Yeah. What you're hoping to continue to do. I'm sure that you're not necessarily shy about being in front of a camera and talking to the people, telling the people what they need to know about the matches that are happening in front of them. And the fact that you do it for Melee, Rivals, and Project Plus is also insane to me because there's crossover, yes, but they are still very different games, and
they're very different. I have to remember all the different mechanical stuff, but even just like having to remember the current trends in 3 different esports scenes is very weird sometimes. Because I'll have to remember like who's on the come up in Rivals versus like who's on the come up in P plus, that kind of stuff.
And that's what I would like to actually ask you about a little bit, not to specifically quiz you, but I am curious about, from your own perspective, you're looking at Project Plus, you're looking at players that are showing up and winning events, and I'm just curious, from your own perspective, who is the kind of a player that you want to watch out for that hasn't necessarily broken out and won a big event yet?
Oh, sure. I don't think any of them are going to win, but watch out for the Nesses. Like that character in general right now. The character's still bad. Like, let's be clear. Aww. And by bad, I mean mid-tier. but whatever.
Not top
Mid tier
tier.
and mid tier in P plus is still good, but we have had a run of Nesses just doing super well. At Undertow, a Ness with didn't even think about his tag before I started saying this. Ness with the tag Astastic um, beat the number one player in the world in pools.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, so he took the number one spot. I think he got like 25th at the total event. Um, and then there's also Akimi and Kumatora, uh, who are both, one is Washington and one is, uh, I think CT? I think Connecticut. I know for sure that region. Um, but they have both been doing very well since quarantine lifted. They were doing well in some online brackets, and then there was a point where like Nesses were just winning locals all across the country, which was not normal for people for PM before. And it's not that their character got better; it's that they, as players, have all gotten better at the same time. And it's this just like funny thing that everyone's talking about right now.
So there's
Um,
like a Discord for the Nest character for P plus, right? I mean, there's
I'm sure there is, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they're very happy about the last like 3 months. Yep.
I can only imagine. But I'll just go over the top 8 quickly for Undertow, and you can tell me who from there is a player that you like watching or that you were excited to
Oh,
see
sure.
do well.
Perfect.
So coming in at first and then going back to 7th placers, we have in that order the Doctor, Lunchables,
I
Boring Man. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
do you wait. Do you want me to? Do you want me to say while you're naming them?
Oh, I'll just name all of them, and then you can just sort of like
Okay.
pick and go from there. Because I didn't want you to like feel like you had to talk about each individual player for like yeah. So Doctor One going down to second and so on. Lunchables, Boring Man, No, or is it Nog with an H? Nog. Yono, Twisty, Pikmon, and Dirt Boy.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot that's how that top 8 shaked out because there was a couple names in there that we did not expect. There was also some names in there that we thought were going to do very well. One big story about Undertow was that was the Doctor's first time winning a major. But he's been a top 10, top 5 player for like 3 years, but he's never won a major. So he's the first person to win a major with Mario.
Oh, that's really cool. That kind of like, that's almost, that's so poetic because like IBDW has been arguably 10 top 10 for 3 years now, or getting towards 3 years. Because I remember him playing top 10 level for sure in 2019. So maybe not 18 necessarily, but you get it. Like that's
Same idea. Yeah. Also, the Doctor's just one of the nicest people. He and his fiance are super sweet. So I love them both. Thank you for the message.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I sent you the top 8 so that it wasn't like
Lunch is just been a mainstay for a long time. He's fairly rusty right now, which is why it was crazy that he got second. He hasn't entered a tournament in forever. I don't see him traveling that often. He probably will be at Shipwrecked though, because that's his home region. So pay attention for him. Which has been like a top, when active and trying, has been a top 5 threat consistently for almost like 6 years. Boring Man, I was really happy. He's just, a good friend who I think has the ability to win a national 100%, and he just hasn't done it yet. Another, like, definitely I think would be in the top 10. He's interesting because I feel like every year he's playing a different character.
Oh, wow.
And playing them very well. For a long time, he was like one of the best Marios. And then he became one of the best Sonics. And then he became one of the best Lucarios. And it's not even like a counterpick thing, except for like the brief period where he's switching from one to the other. So I want to say he's doing Lucario now. I could be wrong. But he'll sometimes pull out other characters for like really specific counterpicks.
So that's kind of like Plup. Plup was kind of character searching for a little while there, and you might even say that's still happening, just because Plup will pull out Fox, not always play Sheik consistently. But there was Samus and then Luigi the one time, but you get it.
Yep. I mean, I'm just gonna go through the list at this point.
Absolutely.
So people know. Nog has been doing very well during Was top 50 before, but was like, if I remember, like maybe like top 30, wasn't, or maybe like top 40, so wasn't crazy high. Was getting very good results on net play though, especially during like quarantine tournaments. During net play was doing really well, and a big thing was like, can Nog keep it up? Especially because Thunders is fairly retired at this point, and so Nog is now like the new best DK. Um, we It looks like it's, oh, hello, just the dog. Looks like that's what's happening. So that's really dope. Big story about Yono is the first time we've gotten a Knuckles to place top eight at a major now.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
Yep.
Because yeah, it looked a little slow just in the gameplay that I've watched, but I assumed there are mechanics because it's a very specifically created engine for like to have characters be competitive.
I need to actually go watch Yono's sets. I saw people making jokes on Twitter about like, "Hey, Knuckles is busted. We need to do something about this."
Oh no.
I think it was also people that were just more making jokes of like, we don't know how to play against Knuckles yet. For a lot of people, it will be the first time they've played a good person with that character. But yeah, that was a really cool thing. The new character getting represented at a major. Twisty's always been really, really solid. That doesn't surprise me at all. Twisty's been great for a long time. A Wario, Pikmon has been top 10 for quite a while, but has switched Game and Watch, which is what most people know him as still, even though he's been playing Ike for like 2 years. The problem is most of that 2 years is during quarantine, so people just still think of him as a Game and Watch. And then Dirt Boy. Dirt Boy has been just like a perennial top 40 player for like 7 years now. It feels like.
Wow.
It's probably been like 5. Yeah, there was like 3 years in a row where he went from like, I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, but it was like 26, and then the next year he was 25th, and then 24th. It was like he's like, I gotta play this game for 20 more years if I want to be the best player in the world. But he's a Squirtle, so I've also housed him for tournaments. He's really nice. He's from Michigan.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear that there's like storylines that I'm not super familiar with, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why we're having you talk about this, but
PM, we for sure have all of our own storylines, and that's something I've talked about before. Is it's one of the things that makes me sad about how PM has kind of been pushed to the side, is that we have our own commentators, we have our own streamers, we have our own like TOs and top players, like all of the things that we think of that make Melee great or make Ultimate great, to like, because like you think of all of those, we have, there's the Scar and Toph that just electrify the game. Well, we have people that do that. That's just, we only know about them in the PM scene. A lot of people don't get their time to shine further, and that's something I really wish would be able to happen more.
I think that there continues as there continues to be a certain amount of crossover, and of course, as we all realize that we have a common enemy, that we say, so what's going on over here? Oh, this is cool. Like, I mean, it's me trying to personify that by having you on, by having Saber on, and just asking questions, because like I don't know, and I haven't tried out P Plus myself. I have discovered that this laptop that I currently am using it can barely do Diet Melee, so I need to upgrade it.
There's not a chance it can do P Plus then, unfortunately.
So
big shout outs to Diet Melee. I think that kind of thing is really dope.
It is very, very cool. But in terms of like keeping a scene just from going completely under and disappearing and never thriving ever again, like I assumed when I read back on the internet a long time ago about the original PM development team putting the development cycle down and saying we're done, I thought there's no way this is going to continue, and I didn't hear about PM for a long time until about the time of Big House Online, where I was going, oh, people are still playing P+. It's cool. So like just having a presence and having people talk about it online is going to really help, because by proxy, people just go, oh, wait, what's that? So from my perspective, I feel like it's going better than ever, while still also saying is there a specific part of all of this? There's so many different variables. There could be like the desire of putting rollback into P plus. There could be the desire of we want more like splashy like news events to kind of happen online for people to continue to see the name, to see the all the hype pop up on their timelines, and of course patching the game itself. What do you think of when you think about how to continue to grow the trajectory of P plus other than from running it at majors, which as of now, doing it like in main stage officially associated with BTS is not possible. It has to be stuff like Jailbreak.
I think a big thing will be really like solidifying what we do for shadow events, if that makes sense. I think if you just know without a shadow of a doubt that if you go to a SmashCon or Shine or whatever, and you're just like, I bet there's a shadow PM tournament here, and I bet
smell
it's
it
like
in the air.
like if you do that and you can make it, and the TOs can make it accessible, and if at all possible, it's within walking distance and all of those things. I think that you'll see more people entering just from that kind of stuff. I mean, at Riptide, I got so many questions from friends who knew that I did P plus stuff while we were back in the Rivals Melee and alt areas that were just like, yo, how's the bracket going? Like, are there any upsets? Like, what's going on? They were really excited to hear about how Undertow was going. And so I think that kind of thing will be huge. I've heard that as great as I think it would be for the scene, I think rollback might be a pipe dream, unfortunately. It just doesn't look like it's going to be possible. I hope I'm wrong, but I've also been told like the way the engine is designed, it just straight up might not be possible without like someone devoting 2 years to it, like what Fizzy did.
Yeah, it took 6 months of just overtime work and doing literally nothing. Oh, okay, let me rephrase. Had to live, but that was full-time work for Fizzy to actually do Melee rollback.
Yeah, and we don't have anybody in the PM scene who can be like, yeah, I don't need a job. I don't need whatever. Like, that's just not feasible. Yeah, so I don't think rollback will happen. I think really focusing on P plus content. Which is like, yeah, which for me is like, I'm going to keep doing all of the games that I play. And I'm not going to like specifically do one or over any of the others, but I'm going to do all of them. And I think having people do that, but also having people that are like PM specific content creators, because that's how, I mean, you think about like there's random Melee videos that have had gotten like 3 million views. And those videos, I'm sure, have pulled so many people into the community.
Yeah.
And
it
so,
helps,
and absolutely. It doesn't, but that's not going to happen if it's just a Charizard versus Marth at this tournament. Like, you have to give people that don't know about the community a reason to click on it. Whether it's a look at this crazy thing that might happen. Like, clickbait works for a reason. We just do it.
Yeah. If only somebody were filming the doctor's pop off for winning Undertow, that could have gone viral. Okay, shout outs to Cake Assault and for Turn Down for Walt for also filming that moment. That was hilarious. That was awesome.
I was in the front row when that happened. Oh. That was a very weird, like, we are all cheering and then he fell and we were like, is he okay? Then he got back up again and we're like, okay, I guess we're still cheering. Like, it was very weird from the crowd too. So then to hear later, like, yeah, he straight up dislocated his arm. It's like, cool. All right, Cake. You were high-fiving people after. That's nuts.
Playing hurt, playing. Well, I mean, just so much adrenaline. I'm sure that was part of it. It just like probably dislocated it like so soon into that pop off, but then was just you would have such a high. I could only. I mean,
that was the largest Rivals tournament ever. Like there is, I do not blame him for having the pop off of a lifetime for it.
Especially coming back, I want to say that Cake Assault came back from losers, but I can't recall that for a fact. I'm just pretty sure it played out 2 sets in grand finals, didn't it?
I don't think he did come from losers. I'm pretty sure. We were expecting those 2 in grands if you had like on paper, but they've both been upset in the past, so that wasn't surprising. But yeah, largest tournament ever, huge deal. Cake had not been doing well in net play, just really was struggling with delay based net play and not enjoying the game as much, and so there was a lot of things wrapped up in like this was a very big deal for him of like, oh, I'm not washed, I'm just don't like having lag spikes while I play or whatever.
Very fair. Oh, and to give a little bit of credit to, we were just talking about at the start of all of this when we started talking about how Rivals of Ether recently put out the beta for their rollback. That has been in the works for years. Like, if I read Dan
literally
Fornace's
years.
tweet, yeah, like, and it's a game that's newer and like theoretically speaking could be possible to do it like sooner or whatever. But even for a even for a game that has a lot of publisher support still and people still be doing the codes to it, it took that long. So for P Plus to not be able to have rollback, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the big things for us will be making sure that, because like you said, a lot of people just didn't know we existed until 5 Days of Melee kind of put us back into the spotlight for a lot of folks, or until Big House Online put us back, or the shutdown did. And so I think the thing, and I don't have an exact answer for this, but the thing that's going to really help the P Plus scene is how do we not lose that? How do we keep the spotlight, or how do we shine light on the things that we are doing? Because we've had our own nationals and our own majors that weren't connected to other Smash events for years. But if you didn't play P Plus, you didn't know about it. And so how do we make sure that those aren't going under the radar still?
So is it bad that I thought to myself that a TriCast of Hungrybox, Toph, and Scar would be, for like a P Plus event, would be like the weirdest thing ever, but also like possibly help bring in some people? Or actually, you know what I'd like better is Hungrybox just playing P Plus on his stream, like somebody like on that kind of. I
mean, Mango was playing P Plus with Magi like yesterday on stream.
Let's go.
Stuff
That's
like
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
stuff
cool.
like that. We really need to break the stigma of like you can't stream P Plus, or Hugs interviewed Stewed.
Oh, I love that.
Stream.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I remember because I was watching part of the stream and he's like, wait, am I allowed to upload this to YouTube under? And it's like, yeah, you can put P Plus stuff on YouTube. It's fine. But like, that's what people are worried about is, can I even make content about this? And it's like, yeah, you can.
Nobody's come
Apparently
after.
Don't run national, and Nintendo won't do anything.
I should clarify. Yeah, this is me. This is Hugs. Mango's like all the way up here, so I would be the last person to be cut down on the totem pole. But yes, when I
mean, we've joked about the like, what would it take to get Ludwig to do an SCL, but for or not an SCL, whatever his LACS, but
Mm-hmm.
For PM, and the answer is he wouldn't, because it's not a community he's in, and that's okay. He doesn't need to, but like that's the idea of like we can still get eyes on it, and we can still do our own tournaments and have our own nationals, and have shadow nationals and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be but it doesn't need to be that in a way of like in the shadows in terms of like not people not knowing where to even find it on Twitch, or not knowing what channels to go to, or not knowing that the tournament even happened at all. So
from my own perspective, the what I can continue to do is to have people on like you, and eventually 100%. I would love to have P Plus players on to talk about, because like it's
well, let me know. I can definitely suggest a lot of people.
Of course, and I do appreciate that. I'm just thinking about like the typical story of somebody getting into a Smash game just starts up with the game that they grew up with, or like what was the game that was out at the time that they were a kid. So for some people, it is Smash 64, the oldest people in the Smash community, but then it's the same for Melee, Brawl, Smash 4, and now Ultimate. But then you get you get a look at these other Smash games because by proxy, you just look up videos on the internet and you're watching salty
Mhm.
compilations of Melee and you're like, oh, this isn't the Ultimate one. Well, what's going on with
I
Melee?
mean, like
And so
I
on and
don't
so
really
on.
play Ultimate, but I still watch it because I have friends that are in that community, and there's players that if they're in the top 8, I'll probably watch it. Like that's what we want for P plus is just people to be like, oh, like the doctor's playing, I like him, I'll watch longer. Cool,
Yes.
great, yeah.
And it would be cool for more viral clips of P plus to happen because I
Mm.
can't tell you how many times I've seen that one clip of, and I don't even know the players' names offhand, but it's a Snake player pausing and wiggling the pause screen around and
Oh
then
yeah,
doing a dance. Like,
yeah,
come on, I mean, a lot that's gone viral, I'm
yeah.
sure.
Rolex and Professor Pro, yeah.
Oh, poor was it Professor Pro who got stunted on, or was that Professor Pro doing that?
Professor Pro was the one doing the stunting.
Let's go. I don't think I've ever seen that much personality from. Oh, that's so cool. That's
I
awesome.
think they both took turns doing stunting, but Professor Pro definitely won the overall money
Yeah, I
match.
got the last laugh. That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so been able to talk about your what you're doing for Heart Swap TV with the
Mhm.
bad things happening to good people, which
Well,
is
so Bad Things was the name of the original tournament, and we got the okay from the person who ran that. But ours is the end of Melee Galleon. So
oh, it's called the End of Melee Galleon.
yeah,
Yes, you're doing
cool.
that, and then you won't be present and accounted for at Low Tide City, but will you be
I will
present
be
at?
at I will be at main stage.
Let's go.
I'm gonna be at main stage and now a Jailbreak. I am trying to find out if I'll be doing melee commentary. I already know I'll be doing PM commentary. I don't know where, but like I don't know. It's one of those things. I am at the point now, and it feels weird to say this. Um, I'm at the point in both PM and Rivals commentary where if I'm like, hey, I'm going to be at this tournament, I know I will get a com slot.
But you got to continue to go up and up and up in that
Yeah,
sense.
and I need to get there for melee, but I have messaged the person who's in charge of melee commentary at main stage. Uh, but it's not an application. It's an invite thing, and so I don't know if they've seen the message or not. But I should probably follow up.
Yeah,
I
follow
will
up.
also be at Genesis. As long as we're going over stuff that I'm going to be at, I'm going to be at Genesis. It is unconfirmed, but I will likely be doing commentary there as well. I'll for sure be doing it for Rivals, but it looks like there's a good chance I'll be doing Melee there. So um, yeah, those are the tournaments I've got confirmed so far coming up.
And that's a plenty between now and the end of the year because that's going to be a lot of traveling for you. So good luck, and I hope that all the
Mhm.
people can find you during those streams. My last question to you is: you were talking about that getting up
Yeah,
to that level of commentary for Melee. You actually have a goal of yours in a certain amount of time. You want to be commenting top 32 for all of these different games, for Rivals, for Melee,
yeah.
and for Project Plus, of course. And maybe, I
Mhm.
mean, heck, just go for it. Go start going for Grand Slams. Do Ultimate. Do all that kind of stuff. Like from your perspective, you're sort of setting a goal, and I'm wondering why that goal is something that you were willing to put out into the Twitter sphere. Why it's
Sure.
important to you, and that kind of stuff.
Um, so I have done national top eights for both P plus and Rivals already. Um, like that, those I have accomplished. And I'm trying to get my name up there for Melee. But the reason I did that is because I was thinking I couldn't think of anyone unless they were like a guest commentator, which has happened before.
Sure.
Some people will be asked to come on and like their role as a commentator, if they're a guest, is to be like so why did that happen? Like what's going on? Why did that mechanic work that way?
Yeah,
And I
me.
don't want to
I'd
do
be
that.
doing
I
that.
want to, which is fine. I actually like it when broadcasts do that. I really want to have earned doing top 32 for 3 different games at the same tournament. I don't know why. It's just a cool goal that I think would be really dope to be like, yeah, I did. I can't, well, I'm trying to think. Well, because now, unfortunately, I thought about that before the P plus stuff started being canceled. But if I was like at Shine, for example, and I did top 32 for Melee, Rivals, and P plus, I don't know how to work it with my schedule, but like that's just the kind of thing where I want to be like, yeah, I am good enough at commentary for 3 different games to do this.
That'd be
Um,
so cool.
there was a chance that I was going to be doing 2 different top 8s at Riptide. So it just didn't work out actually for either of the top 8s that I was going to do. One was going to be, I was apparently in contention for the P plus one. And they went with a couple other people, which is totally fine. And then it was canceled anyways. Um, and I am one of the top 4 commentators for Rivals. And so I got top 16, but it was literally a coin flip.
Yeah.
And
So hopefully you're able to get to that point soon. And I mean, Jailbreak main stage, and I'd like knock on wood. Hopefully that's something that I'll get to see you be able to pop off about. And yeah, so let's close up because I want to be respectful of your time. I want to make sure that the people can find you. So one more time, it is at @Wisely on Twitter.
Yes.
You can see it in the overlay. I mean, Wisely, you can't see it, but for the people watching, they can see it in the overlay and in the description of the podcast episode. But where else can we find you?
I am at Wisely on everything. Twitter. I'm now starting to do Twitch again, and YouTube. YouTube is probably going to be bigger than going to be the one I focus on more than Twitch. I'm still going to stream on Twitch. I think it's really fun, but if I'm doing something on Twitch, it is probably to be turning it into a more professionally edited YouTube video later. I guess I also do TikTok as well, but that is much more sporadic and silly and what I feel like doing, and it's often just parts from my videos. So, but yeah, I'm at Wisely on all of my channels.
Wisely, thank you so much for joining me on Bottom of Smash Mountain again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's great to be on twice. We'll have to think of a third topic for a third time in the future.
Oh, you're saying that now, while we're recording. Oh no, you'll be held to it by nobody in the comments, but I'll hold you to it. Don't worry.
Hey, perfect.
Appreciate it.
We've done one about me, like learning about Smash. We've done one about mostly P plus, but also just multi-game stuff. We'll find one more topic. I'm sure we can do it.
Yep, we will certainly do that. We'll catch you next time.